Okay guys, I'm here for my review of SummerSlam 1992 for the SummerSlam Review Series. One of the most fondly remembered SummerSlams. And for rightfully so, it's got two really good matches on it. But the rest of this show, you know, well, I'll get into some of that. But, yeah. This show took place on August the 30th, 1992 from Wembley Stadium in London, England. This remains the only Big Four pay-per-view that ever took place outside of North America. To this day, it is the only international SummerSlam, and I don't mean that was just in Canada. I mean outside entirely of North America. I know Canada counts as international, but for all intents and purposes, that's domestic because it's North America. So this is the only true international show where they actually crossed an ocean to go to. So there are 8 matches on this card, so a 40-star maximum rating. Opening contest, Legion of Doom versus Money Incorporated, 2.5 stars, okay opener, average tag match. This would be the Legion of Doom's last pay-per-view appearance for WWE until 1997 because I think Hawk got fired and then left and went to Japan, and Animal was a bit upset about that for a while until they came back in 96 in WCW. It's talked about on the Road Warrior DVD, but it's my memory's a little fuzzy about exactly this. But I do know this was the last WWE appearance or pay-per-view appearance for Legion of Doom till like 1997 at WrestleMania 13. But yeah, it's 2.5 stars. Legion of Doom win when Animal power slams Ted DiBiase. So then we get Virgil versus Nails. Oh boy, Nails. You know, I did the Survivor Series review series and I had to talk about Nails. Now I have to talk about Nails here. And I also reviewed Slamboree 1993 where I had to talk about Nails. Needless to say, this guy is the worst wrestler I've ever seen. Oh yes, and I've seen the great Khali. While Khali actually knows more than this, Nails' entire offense in this match is chokeholds. Predominantly chokeholds and I believe one clothesline. And he wins with a choke anyway. So yeah, that's all Nails was. That's all Nails was. Why anyone thought this guy could? Why, you know? And the thing is, there's a reason why Nails was only around to feud with law enforcement type characters, because he couldn't sustain anything past that. Nails was just I'm glad I don't have to talk about Nails ever again, because this is the last pay-per-view I'm reviewing that has Nails on it. So. And on top of that, the testimony that Nails gave in the federal government's trial of the Vince McMahon steroid trial is half the reason Vince got acquitted, because he came off sounding basically like a bitter ex-employee. No stars. So then we get Shawn Michaels versus Rick Martel in a 2-star match. It's entertaining because of a lot of things. Primarily because there's a whole stipulation in this match that there shall be no hitting in the face. You can slap in the face, but you can't hit in the face. And eventually Sherri gets on the apron, they're fighting over her, and Sherri faints and something, and it leads to a big fight over them with them outside, blah blah. They both get counted out. Eventually Martel gets a bucket of water and puts it on Sherri. Yeah, very entertaining match this. Two stars. Could have used a decisive victor some, but it's a 2-star match. It's entertaining. So then we get the WWE Tag Team Championship match. The Natural Disasters versus the Beverly Brothers. Oh, the Beverly Brothers. I don't think I mentioned this at Survivor Series 91's review, but the Beverly Brothers are Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom, otherwise known as the Destruction Crew from the AWA. So, again, an okay tag match. It's 2 stars that tries to be a traditional tag team match with one guy doing the Ricky Morton and playing the so-called face in peril, as it became known. But the Nashville Disasters, they're both too big to be believable in that. So trying to make a traditional tag title tag formula work with two guys that size doesn't work. But it's an okay match. It's 2 stars. So then we get Crush versus the Repo Man. Oh yes, 2 years after they were defending the WWE Tag Team Championship, Crush and Demolition Smash, with different gimmicks, are now facing each other at SummerSlam. Because for those of you who don't know, the Repo Man was Demolition Smash, and this is when Crush had that blonde-headed Kona head vice thing. That's, you know. And Crush was never that good anyway. This is a half-a-star match. It is better than the Nails match, but then again, almost everything on this card is better than the Nails match, especially since the Nails match is predominantly a squash match. This is too, but it's a little bit better. So then we get one of the 2 matches that really elevate this show. The WWE Championship match. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ultimate Warrior in a 4.5-star match. Quite frankly, would have been 5 if they would have had Savage actually win this match by pinfall, because that's really where you should go. And on top of that, the story here had a lot to do with whose corner would Mr. Perfect be in. And they had him be so subtle that he did something that affected both the Warrior and Savage, so it played off as both of them, but he wasn't in anyone's corner. He was separate Flair's corner. Now, I know that the Warrior was fired or left again in '92 right after this, but hypothetically, you could have had Savage win, and essentially, in their second meeting, and then you set up a third. This is the problem with Savage a lot of times. It's the problem with his feud with Steamboat. They never had a second match, even given WrestleMania 4, which had a tournament, which was the perfect time to do that as 2 phases. And here, he had a second match with Warrior, and he lost both of them. This one being by countout. Yeah, I would have deferred a decisive finish, but this is still a very good match. It's 4.5 stars. Savage was one of the people that managed to get everything and got the best out of Warrior with Rick Rude and Hulk Hogan. So, yeah, this is a 4.5-star match. But about this show, without this match and another match, this show would sadly not be that good. Because up until that match, we've had 2.5, nothing, 2.5, or 2.5, nothing, 2, 2.5 a star to this. So, this match is a very good match. So then we get the Undertaker versus Kamala. Half-star match, Undertaker wins by DQ. That's all I have to say about that. Certainly a better opponent than who Undertaker had at next year's SummerSlam, but I'll get to that. The thing of Undertaker and Kamala, just in the 90s, he did not have a lot of really good people to work with. After Jake Roberts left the company, you know, he had the feud of Kamala, which wasn't really good and didn't have really good matches attached to it. And then in '93, he had the Giant Gonzalez feud for the first half of the year, and then he went into basically and then he transitioned to his Yokozuna feud for the beginning of '94. So, the 90s were a bad time to be The Undertaker in terms of who he had to work with, and it's not his fault that some of these guys just weren't that good. I'm not saying Kamala wasn't good, I'm saying that him and Undertaker just didn't have good matches of each other. Surely better than Giant Gonzalez, but I'll get to that in the next SummerSlam review. So then, our main event, the WWE Intercontinental Championship match. Yes, the Intercontinental Championship main event at a Big 4 pay-per-view. Bret the Hitman Hart versus the British Bulldog in a 5-star classic. And is arguably the greatest Intercontinental Championship match in the history of WWE. Now, I say the greatest, and now this is my opinion, of course, that in my opinion, the greatest IC Championship match ever is Steamboat and Savage at WrestleMania 3, but I will say that's because it's my all-time favorite match. But Also, I think that a lot of people put this high on the list because it does have something that Savage Steamboat didn't, in the fact that it did main event a Big Four pay-per-view, and I get that. But I don't really, there was not the kind of the story here that Savage Steamboat had, and I think that is why. Still a great match, and I don't mind people talk about it as one of the all-time great IC Championship matches. It is. But is it the greatest or the runner-up to the greatest? That's an entirely interesting debate. But in my opinion, it's Savage Steamboat WrestleMania 3 with this a very close second. Because as I said, this really is no story here. There was no real story for them to tell about this other than the small family tension when this match was made that came up. So it's kind of hard to say that this had the story elements to it to make a good IC Championship match. And there is the Bulldog botch from being out of position when you're supposed to catch Bret Hart, but I don't really think it hurts the match because it actually can help the match in a way. This match, though, isn't... This match is a 5-star match. I will say that probably it didn't deserve the main event, and it only main evented due to the Bulldogs being in England. Because I think Warrior Savage is actually the bigger match at that time, and that you had that close it. But that didn't decisive this one did, so I figure that's why the WWE went with it. But yeah. Finish comes when Bret goes for a sunset flip and Bulldog just drops down into a pinning combination, gets the win. Bulldog would lose the Intercontinental Championship to Shawn Michaels on Saturday night's main event, I think 2 months later, approximately. And then he left the WWE and went to WCW at the start of 1993. But yeah, one of the all-time great SummerSlam matches, one of the great Intercontinental Championship matches. So here's the thing about this. This show has a 4.5-star match and a 5-star match, but a lot of either average matches, very below average matches, and one really, really, really bad match. So its whole rating is 17 out of 40, which is enough to get it a C- rating, because it's only 3 stars away from having exact 50% of the max star rating, which to me is a C. So this is a very high C- because of the strength of those 2 matches, the WWE Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. Now, the next year's SummerSlam starts the New Generation SummerSlams, of the New Generation era. 3 SummerSlams in a row that are not the greatest in the world, but do have their moments. And Monday will be when I talk about SummerSlam 1993. If I'm not busy. So it'll be uploaded probably Monday, SummerSlam 1993's review. So this will be in the SummerSlam Review Series playlist. If you like the video, like button is down there, subscribe button is down there, and thank you for watching. Bye.